What's up, guys, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to paint bravely. Now, we got a pretty fun episode this week, something I think a lot of people have been asking for since kind of the early days of this podcast. You know, we're actually coming up on 2 years almost, real close. I know it sounds weird, but a couple years in, and going strong, I'd say. But we have a cool main topic that's kind of a rehash of an old main topic, and some other fun things to talk about. Now, the first thing I need to do is ask, whatever are you drinking, Brent? Because it looks disgusting.
Man, do you ever taste All Sport from back in the day? It was a sports drink that was kind of a competitor with Powerade. Had a little bit of carbonation in there. Anyway, so this is a energy drink that I found at the dollar store, and we can definitely talk about other good stuff you can get at the dollar store.
That's not one of them. Okay, that's interesting. So, not a good drink. What's it called, though?
It's called Ripit Energy Fuel. This is yet another episode of Energy Drink Bravely, the podcast. Hey, you gotta try new things to learn new things.
That's true.
I gotta tell you, I actually kind of miss All Sport. The energy drink from the... Yeah, I used to play, as a small child, I played hockey. And you know, after a game of hockey, you gotta go get the energy drink, and I like the All Sport. They don't make it anymore, though.
No.
It tastes like Ripid Energy Fuel.
Yeah. Well, they started making that, and they put it in the dollar store. Man, I just went to the dollar store. I just picked up a whole bunch of stuff.
Perfect transition.
It is, right? I know. It's almost like we planned it. Yeah, so I actually, I went and picked up, I got a bunch of makeup sponges, because they're good for removing, enamels and stuff off your models, and they're super cheap at the dollar store. Yeah. My dollar store has like LEDs that you can put in stuff. I think that's pretty cool. Like a little bit of...
Casey is reaching for LEDs that he bought at the dollar store?
Yeah, well, this is the diorama that I put together with the LEDs that I bought at the dollar store. Of course, you can't see this if you're listening, but it is on youtube.com/paintbravely the podcast if you want to watch the video feed as we do this podcast. Just for fun, throwing it out there. But yeah, like I bought a couple packs of the LEDs. They're kind of cool because you can cut them down and you don't have to wire anything, and it comes with a battery pack. So pretty awesome, just randomly at the dollar store. Like, you wouldn't think that they would have something like that, but mine does. Yeah, and I bought some glue.
Yeah, so I actually don't shop at the dollar store often. Normally, if I want unethically cheap goods, I go to Walmart. But I remember a specific episode of Black Magic Craft where he was talking about foam board.
Okay,
and
yeah.
For crafting with foam board, if you want to get the kind of foam board, like poster board made out of foam, that's easy to craft with, the thing you need to look for is that the paper glued to the foam peels off really easy.
Right.
I know that in Winnipeg or whatever part of Canada that Jeremy's in, his dollar store is the place for that kind of foam board. So I went on a little journey. I checked out the 2 different brands of dollar stores near me. And one of them was disappointing. It was just like a regular store that was called a dollar store. And they didn't have that was the Dollar General, where things were $1 or $2, or actually one of their types of poster board was $5 for a piece of poster board.
Yeah.
Luckily, right under it, they had the $1 piece of foam board. So, yeah. So Dollar General, kind of like a CVS, like just kind of like a regular store where they, don't bother to put 99 cents at the end of every price tag. But you go to Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree is a very strange and scary place where nothing in that store is worthwhile. The best thing in the entire store is Ripit Energy Fuel, and it's just like a store full of junk. But that is perfect for crafting and basing and trying to light things up in ways that may or may not be hazardous to fire safety.
That's true. It's very true. So far, so good on my diorama, which also has a dollar store base and dollar store foam building it up. So,
but would you turn it on and leave your house? Like, would you turn it on?
In the past.
Okay.
Yes, that has been a thing. And I did not do it on purpose, but my house was still here when I got back. So, yeah, I think it's okay.
Okay, Casey.
Seems fine. I mean, they're AA batteries. Like, really? I don't.
Walk me through this scenario. You go out to the movies with your family.
Yeah.
You come back. Your house is burned down, or your house is like in the process of burning down. Check through the list of what do you think of as the cause of the fire? If you come back to your house while it's on fire and you're like, oh, what did I leave on? What's the checklist look like here?
Oh, the checklist of, wow, that's actually pretty good. I like this because it's there's a lot of stuff. Okay, so I mean I have a workshop, but it's essentially a room in my house, right? But it looks like a workshop. It's all tool benches and toolboxes and, you know, all the stuff that you'd find in a wood shop most likely, which is how I choose to build my hobby shop. But whatever, I digress. Possibly the cable that connects the lights to the ceiling. I would think probably something from there would be the cause. I mean, 100% it would be from this room. Like that would be my go-to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even more likely is maybe I left my sonic cleaner on somehow and I set it for some stupid number.
Yep, sonic cleaner is a possibility.
Yeah, something like that.
It gets going, it's generating a lot of energy, and it does heat up if it's going for more than a couple of minutes.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, it goes from like 20 degrees Celsius to 50 in like 5 minutes. Yeah. It's ridiculous. That's why you're not supposed to put things like isopropyl alcohol in your sonic cleaners. Just throwing that out there.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Because the flashpoint
realistically the cause would be it's the combination of a flammable liquid in near proximity to a cheap piece of hobby equipment that you are not treating appropriately.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And that like a spark can cause an explosion. Like it's still rather unlikely if you're watching it and you're watching the temperature, but you know, it's just a bad idea all around. I've done that before. No fires. Yeah. The other thing
for like actual fire safety tips, just be mindful of where you have your alcohols and your oil paints and your mineral spirits. Like that's probably the like actual advice we should give you.
That's probably true. I mean, generally speaking, like the alcohols that we have access to, 99% isopropyl alcohol, like you're supposed to keep at least up and away, or in a locked cabinet away from children. Relatively, they're basically harmless unless they're near something flammable,
poisonous and flammable.
Well, yeah, but again, away from children. Right? Like my cabinet behind me, I store my chemicals in, and it's locked. It's a locked cabinet. Yeah, and that way I don't have my 5-year-old or my 5-month-old coming in here chugging resin or alcohol.
Very good. Very good.
What else? I don't even know what else. Like I've got this weird LED thing that might be on the list if I knew it was on, you know. But then again, it's like AA batteries. It's unlikely, you know. Like the AA battery would burn out because I've seen AA batteries burn and explode, and like they go for a little bit, but they basically burn themselves out. Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, so far so good. So far so good.
Looking around my room, like something bad's gonna happen. It's probably the computer in my 5x5 walk-in closet that I ran an extension cord in that I used to do everything on the channel in. That was the danger for a long time.
Yeah, I think realistically, finding your extension cord that is doing the bulk of your work, like if you have an extension cord that is doing the work for multiple rooms plugged into a single socket, hey, I'm not an electrician, but I I can count to 10 and then see that one of those 10 goes off to another splitter, you know?
Yeah. Luckily, it is pretty lucky. I'm on, like, for just this room, because it's technically like a master bedroom that we split, and it's got a bathroom and a closet. I'm on like 3 different circuits for this whole space. So, like, it's not horrible, which is nice. So the power situation isn't the worst. Now, that being said, I do have a socket over here that if I plug into, then that whole half of the whole side of the house will go, or, you know, in this room and in the closet, because it's too much. Because I'm running like a computer and like lights and some other stuff, and then if I put something in over like a computer or something else that's bigger than like a camera battery, then that'll go. So
yeah.
gotta be
now,
careful.
Dear listener, it may seem like we're on a stupid tangent already, but this is actually going to loop right back in, because later on in this episode, we're getting back to a highly requested topic of ranking hobby spaces.
Exactly.
And you better believe that reasonable electricals is part of the scoring system. So
that's true. Yeah, we've expanded the whole idea and given it a points system.
I'm pretty excited to reveal the Mark II, the Year 2 ranking system for hobby setups. So,
is that what we do every year?
Stay with us, dear listener.
Hobby ranking 2021. Like 2022 version 3 will come out later after we tweak it some more. You know, somebody needs to build like that D&D character sheet style thing that we were talking about. That still has to be a thing. So maybe that'll be next year's version 3 upgrade.
We're
now
close.
it's
we're close.
Yeah, we're getting close.
Yeah,
but again,
I'm quite happy with the draft of the system that we're going to present to you for your feedback today. But by year 3 or 4, I think we're going to have a really tight rubric down. The definitive edition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe we could skip a year once that happens. When it's so definitive.
Oh, yeah. So, all right, we want to talk more about dollar store, or we want to talk more about makeup supplies like you bought at the dollar store?
Well, I guess we could segue into some of that because it has to do with both. Like, I did buy makeup supplies at the dollar store yesterday. I bought a bunch of dry brushes, which are like shade, face shade brushes, or regular makeup brushes. I don't even know what they're actually supposed to be for specifically. Some kind of blending. I don't know. They work really well for dry brushes, which is fine. They're super disposable and you can beat them up and they're great. And then I got some, oh man, what else? I got some sponges, like the bigger tearaway sponges for the bigger stuff. So makeup supplies at the dollar store, definitely useful.
Yeah, the more I learn about makeup supplies, the more I am convinced that you could set up your hobby desk entirely with makeup supplies, plus, some mini paints, and be just fine.
I mean, theoretically, you could go with acrylic nail polish and paint too, if you want to go that far.
I mean, that's a stupid YouTube video idea, and we'll get there. We'll get there. Once we run out of a lot of actually good ideas, we'll get there.
If that ever pops up on nail polish, either,
that to be fair, in the manicure pedicure realm, some of those nail artists do some pretty nice little pieces of artwork on thumbnails and fingernails and pinky nails. They've got to have some nice brushes.
Oh, they use airbrushes too.
Man, this is just coming to us now. But so, on the topic of getting cheap makeup dry brushes, regardless of what you're called, you want the bushy ones with the short bristles. Yeah, like short bristles and a whole bunch of them, and kind of look soft. Because I've seen some makeup brushes that have like long, soft bristles in like a big bush. That's fine, but it's I think it's the ones with the shorter bristles that make the better dry brushes for our purposes. Yeah. No, that's too much, Casey. Casey, Casey has a giant poofy brush out right now.
This poofy brush though, this is good stuff for terrain. You get a lot done, and it's soft. Like it's a soft brush. Yeah, like I do it for like the real big stuff, you know. It works good.
That looks good for like dusting off your minis. Like you might want to just keep that one perfectly clean and just go around to your mini display cabinet every 6 months or so. Just kind of dust things off a little bit.
Yeah. This other one that I got is a little bit smaller. It's not as long like you're talking about. Works a little bit better, but you're talking even shorter, like little stubby ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I like the stubby ones. I think I use those the most. Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about some of this stuff before, about dry brushing, but the revelation for me, and this was told to me by Raquel at Rack Arts, and it is eyeliner brushes. So I'm not a man who uses makeup, and so this was just, it makes sense, but it was completely news to me, is that there are essentially fine detail synthetic, like golden tack-on brushes sold for makeup that are extremely cheap. So one of my other sources of unethically cheap hobby supplies is Amazon.com. Went on there, paid $6.50 for 100 eyeliner brushes. And yeah, it's like a fine detail brush, or like a size zero, maybe size 00 synthetic brush that costs 6.5 cents each. 100 pack of these brushes for $6.50.
So do you just use it once and throw it away, or if you clean it out, or?
So I think that's like what the idea is on your face, like, so you're not spreading pink eye around or whatever. I guess. Sure.
I mean, I could see that.
For painting, so the differences between this and a brush from, I don't know, Citadel or Army Painter or whatever, it is shorter. It's it's a plastic handle. It's the size of like a golf pencil, if you know what I'm talking about, the like short stubby golf pencils.
Yeah, it looks stupid.
It is the golf pencils of detail brushes.
Right. Oh man.
And it doesn't have a metal ferrule to attach the bristles to the handle. It's just the golden tackle-on bristles jammed into the plastic handle. Yeah. But it keeps a point.
Honestly, that's the thing, right? That's kind of the golden rule. If it keeps a point, it doesn't matter what the brush is. Because it's all about the tip.
Yeah. So these are eyeliner brushes.
Yeah.
And there is no need, you go to the dollar store, you go to Walmart, buy a pack of synthetic brushes. You can get some detail brushes for $0.25 or 50 cents or whatever.
Yeah.
There's no need to get a 6-cent detail brush.
Not generally.
But it's kind of funny. It's funny.
It is funny.
And it works.
Yeah.
And it amuses me. And before we started talking today, Casey, I spent the last couple of hours doing some painting with this brush. This one that I'm holding right here. Yeah. And the really short handle actually got a little bit annoying because the handle is pretty small.
Sure.
But if the handle was like half an inch longer, it'd be a pretty good brush.
Yeah. That makes sense. I've used something like that before. Not, I think, as small as that, but like when I started doing panel lining with oils, I was using a really small makeup brush. And I think that looks even more specific and smaller. And I wish I had something like that when I was doing that a lot more. Because that's where my mind goes. It's like, oh, I can do some enamel panel lining or just oil panel lining like really well with a brush like that.
Yep.
That's worth having something that's throwaway, so you don't like mix it in with your acrylic stuff, or have to clean it with mineral spirits or whatever. It's like, cool, I panel lined 10 models, I'm done for the week or whatever, I got my squad done, toss that brush, 6 cents, no big deal. Like that feels right. Feels where that brush was meant to be. or eyes.
So, something to think about there, my friends.
Yes, I like it.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of brushes in the hobby industry, $650 is cheap. You're getting off cheap if you're spending $650 on a brush. But if you
That's
get
true.
100 of them,
Whew.
oh man, you can.
I'm not sure who's
you
winning
can brag
there.
to all your friends that don't really care. Yeah.
Is that what we're doing here?
But the more I learn about makeup, all of the tools in the makeup industry are useful. And
Yeah.
man, now I just got an itch that I got to learn more about manicures, pedicures, see what's good there. Yeah.
You know, I've been I don't know if told is the right word, but like suggested that I should get manicures more often.
Okay.
By several people, and not just like randos on the internet, but like actually people in my life. Like my dad told me that I should get manicures more often. He does.
Yeah.
Like he
Well,
used
how
to.
about
He used to.
Yeah, next Father's Day, you know, your family gets you a trip to the spa or you know, the nail salon, whatever.
Yeah.
You go in, you get it done, but the whole time you're there, you know, you're being polite, maintaining conversation, but you're just looking around the place, looking at every tool in use, every brush,
Like an undercover job.
every rack that is used to contain nail polish.
I do like that. That's a good call.
Honestly,
some undercover reconnaissance.
you would make your money back, and we'd have content for. I mean, we could stretch it out to 3-4 episodes, but like
Honestly,
it would
this
be a
seems like
really
something
solid
that,
episode if just like we each independently go to a local
that's what
nail
I'm saying.
place, learn what we need to learn. Yeah.
So what? Like in a month or so, do you want to just do that? We'll each go get a manicure, then come back and report. The point I'm trying to make is that like, I mean, I actually have no idea what my point was. Basically, because our hands are under the camera so often, like it's a good idea.
Sure. And I don't get too many people like writing comments on the YouTube channel about my cuticles or anything. Every once in a while I get the like, why do you have a like soggy Band-Aid on your hand? What happened? But
that's different.
That's different.
That's usually you just have to do it. But you know, what are you gonna do? Yeah.
And I mean, to be fair, in my drawer right now, I do have files that are definitely originally for fingernails.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's some good stuff there for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think the dollar store has some good stuff for the hobby. Like it's definitely becoming a lot more popular to use the makeup brushes as dry brushes. They're like Army Painter and I think Artist Opus have their like pretty nice sets of dry brushes. Those really nice, basically makeup brushes. They look exactly the same. Now, no matter what, those are just better brushes because you can actually clean them. When you're done dry brushing, you can wash them. Whereas these makeup brushes, maybe you get one. Maybe. But you start putting water in there and that glue reactivates and those hairs just start falling out. So they are definitely disposable. Yeah.
Okay. I think there's a lot of different qualities of makeup brushes. And literally the only descriptive word I have here available is eyeliner brush. For the eyeliner brush equals detail or fine detail brush. That's the only conversion I know. Otherwise, I'm talking about like short, bristly, soft looking. Good.
Very good. Highly recommended dollar store brushes.
Yeah. So,
or in this case, Amazon. You know, eyeliner.
So man, I'm
brushes.
gonna have to go back to the dollar store and specifically go to the cosmetic area and just really rack my brain on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I went last, which was yesterday, I was in that section going up and down that aisle, just trying to figure out what uses each thing, what I could use each thing for, and coming out with different random things. So I often get asked, like, what are you working on? at the checkout, because it's like, got this super glue, got all this makeup supplies, and I got like a piece of construction paper, and then I got like this wooden block, and then some D&D dice, right? It's like, what are you doing? Like, don't worry about it, lady. I'll be back tomorrow. Like, I need some LA's Totally Awesome. You got to hook me up. Give me those gallons when they come in. Yeah, secret tip, by the way. Sometimes they have gallons instead of the liters or whatever. So keep an eye out.
And add your Ripid energy fuel to all that, and you're good to go. For real though, LA's Totally Awesome, the stuff that's really good for stripping minis. For some reason, that's sold at dollar stores and not necessarily a lot of real stores.
Yeah, so, right.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's weird. Weird. Okay. Coincidentally, I looked up the SDS sheet not too long ago, and it is a very tame substance. Like, it's 98% water for one. Like, it's non-reactive. It's not flammable in any way. So safe to put in your sonic cleaner. Just throwing that out there. That's why it works so well.
That's true.
This is basically water, which is incredible because it gets blood out of your clothes.
It is kind of basic, like pH wise. So be a little bit careful there, but
yeah, I mean, the concentrated version, like, I can feel it on my hands if I'm putting my fingers in there without gloves. But I mean, it washes off quick, so I wouldn't keep my fingers loaded in the stuff, but it does. You can feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if I remember correctly, that LA's Totally Awesome is a little closer to neutral pH than Super Clean is. Okay. But it's still basic, and be a little bit careful with it because of that specifically. But anyways, look, we'll check back in with you on that stuff.
Yeah, if we end up going to get manicures separately but together. That's what we'll do. It's a video call. We'll record that someday. All right.
What else you got for us, Casey?
I got a little bit of stuff before we really hit into our main topic. I've been doing a lot of work lately. I made an entire. I think we did talk about this like at length. I think a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we talked about it while you were in the middle of making your teeny tiny Warhammer armies.
Yeah. So my pocket hammer, my Fanny hammer, as like call it. A lot of people got a kick out of that, which I think it's funny because that was the joke. Yeah.
Yeah, it turned out great. The lunchbox you chose to contain it was actually different from what I had in mind. I was thinking of like the steel metal lunchbox.
Yeah,
I couldn't find it. Kind of like
yeah.
I was expecting like the Transformers lunchbox, but you had more like the Jurassic Park lunchbox, which was also a good choice. I was just surprised. it was like the plastic kind. Yeah.
Well, so it was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So let's throw that out there. Correct you there. It was also a pencil box, a plastic pencil box.
That's right.
Which is even smaller than a lunchbox. So, still kind of proving my point, right? Like, look, I can fit two full 2,000 point armies plus dice and terrain, okay, into a pencil box. And it fit, and it was pretty awesome. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. Like, I ended up getting like a basic paint job on everything, but a stylized basic paint job. I could set up a board and actually you could sit down and play a game of Age of Sigmar. Like, it's a little finicky, like because the weight of it, is pretty light, so it's easy to knock stuff over. But if you're being pretty careful, then it works out. Yeah, it works out great, and it's fun. So, I was just talking to editor Matt the other day. He was talking about getting a game in, so we're gonna try and legitimately play a full game of Age of Sigmar using this system and see how that goes. So I don't know when we're going to do that, but hopefully we can report back in the next podcast, see how that goes. Keep this story running a little bit. But I highly recommend 10mm models because that's fun. Just fun.
Give it a shot sometime. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you actually own some fanny packs?
I have.
Did you try to jam it into a real fanny pack?
I do. Well, okay. My wife owns a fanny pack.
Okay. But you haven't tried to. You haven't tried to complete the destiny yet, have you?
I mean, I know where this fanny pack is, and I do know that everything would fit inside of it.
Okay.
So it's like, it's all the same, really. It's like, I know that would work. And the thumbnail that was on the video, like, made my day, for sure. Because I found the most ridiculous picture of this dude wearing a fanny pack, and it's like, this just works. But I do know that the armies and everything would fit. I used to, in fact, I took a trip when I was in 6th grade to Boston and New York a long time ago. This like week-long school trip, basically, during the summer. It was this whole program. And I wore a fanny pack that whole time. It was amazing. Kept everything in there.
Sure.
It even had drink holders, man. I had my drinks. Hell.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, legit fanny pack. Like
that kind. Yeah.
It was a hardcore one, yeah. I haven't seen that guy in a while, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, if your fanny pack has cup holders, that's pretty good. Yeah.
That's right. It's good to be an American. Yeah, only here, honestly. Like, it makes no sense otherwise. But yeah, you know, I carried a hand puppet in that thing. Of Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you did find a wonderful thumbnail image of somebody else wearing a fanny pack, and it was heavily implied that strange man had a Warhammer army in there.
Heavily implied, yes.
The important thing is that he could have. You've proved the concept. It can be done.
It can be done, yes, and it should be done. So
should be done. Arguably,
yes.
it should be done. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now I've transferred everything from my pencil box because, of course, my son got a hold of it, and he's like, what is this Ninja Turtles wonderful bright green box you have? And now he's been carrying it around, putting stuff in it. So I bought like a little tackle box, and I've got all the stuff separated into little compartments in the tackle box. And that seems to work out anyways. If I want to keep pushing, you know, the whole idea of it, the hobby, I guess, and put more in there, then I've got room to grow. So that seems fine. It's pretty small. So yeah, not bad. Yeah.
Nice. We'll bring that to Adepticon. We'll give it a shot.
I should try it. You know, that's funny. I probably couldn't bring the tackle box. I could definitely bring a fanny pack, though. They wouldn't stop me for that.
Dude, yeah, there's nothing metallic in there, is there? It's just resin and acrylic paint, right?
It's all resin and paint, yeah. Like,
I mean, they'd make you take it off before you walked through the scanner. But how sweet would it be to walk through the scanner with a fanny pack and they say, "Sir, you have to take off your fanny pack."
I'll purposely forget it so that they yell at me. I'll have a good story. I have a good story walking through the airport security once. I had a sharpened nail in my pocket. Like
sharpened what?
Yeah, a nail. Like
okay.
So it's I was in San Diego and I went to a pipe shop, not like your head shop, but an actual pipe shop, like an oldie
pipes,
ye oldie pipe shop, yeah, like pipe tobacco, because I was into that for a long time, like pipe tobacco and pipes and stuff.
Okay,
yeah, right. So like your Gandalfs, you know, your Sherlocks, there's all sorts of different kind of pipes out there, you know what I'm saying? But I went there. It was like Old Town San Diego, and they have this big pipe shop. Got a pipe, got a tamper. You tamp down your tobacco and you kind of make some nice cinders in there and it gets it going. It's a whole thing. But you can get, it's essentially a nail that's been smashed on one end. So it's flat and sharp for scraping out the bowl. And the other end, the tip of the nail or the head of the nail is to push it down and tamp the tobacco in there. And I forgot it in my pocket and they pulled me aside like for serious. And they're like, "Do you have something?" I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." It was like in the corner of my pocket where I didn't even realize. And it's like a good 3.5 inches long, right? And I finally found it and it was like, "Oh my goodness, I didn't realize I had this in there." And like, and I kind of throw it away, and then they sent me on. It was this whole thing.
I'm sorry.
Anyways, it's okay. It'd just be my luck. They'd look, it's something. And for some reason, I'm suspicious at airports. I don't know. I never
just
do
get
anything.
jittery and nervous, huh? Plus,
I
you're
literally
smuggling
don't at
pointy
all.
objects and
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah. You got anything else you've been up to lately before we head into our main topic?
we can talk about stuff. I an update to me playing around with popsicle sticks is that I was able to find some foam that worked for me at the dollar store.
Hey,
And so man, you do have to find the kind where the paper peels off of the foam, though. You got to get the foam board where the paper does peel off of the foam.
Yeah, you got to get to the inside.
And some of it really doesn't work. Like some of it, you're not going to get the paper off the foam, or at least not cleanly. But I did find a $1 piece of foam board that I was able to do that to. And then you've got this, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch thick piece of foam board that you can make indentations on. And what I did is I just drew out a brick wall, threw some Mod Podge over it, painted it up. Now I've got a brick wall to go along with my popsicle stick hardwood floor, and I'm in business over here. Now the only thing is that my wall is like curved significantly.
Did you say it's a little warped? You didn't do that whole. You put the Mod Podge, you put the weights on it. You got to put those weights down. I always see those terrain guys putting weights on stuff.
Yeah, live and learn on this. But I think it's been actually curling more and more over time. Like it was not this curved last week. So I don't know what to tell you, but I'll have to figure this one out. But despite the curve, I've got a nice little brick dungeon wall here that's going to be good for mini photography. And we were talking last week about backdrops, like photography backdrops. And man, I used my macro mat in back with my hardwood popsicle stick floor as on the bottom. I got some good pictures of some 3D prints on that.
I like it.
I don't know, cool. That's something I've been up to. And in other news, I did print off my first Hero Forge mini recently.
Really? Okay.
So have you ever played around with Hero Forge?
I just not very long ago painted a Hero Forge model for someone. Nice.
Yeah. So this is, for you listeners at home, if you haven't done this, go to, I guess it's heroforge.com. And it's essentially, it's a web-based program for customizing a miniature, essentially. So, you pick your characters, I don't know, basic attributes and their pose and what they're wearing and stuff. And if you get something you like, you can either pay to have Hero Forge print off this mini for you, or you can buy if you have a printer or a friend with a printer, you can buy the STL and print it off yourself. So I had just made a couple of figures for a D&D game that I'm in right now. And it is really fun to play around with that customizer. And the mini printed off fine. I was able, I put my own supports on there and printed it off fine. Looks decent. I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about these kind of self-made customized minis. They look pretty good, but I'm still trying to, I don't know, I'm not sure if they have souls or not. Like
that's a very good way to put it.
Yeah. So
I know what you mean.
You can dress them up, you can pose them, you can play around with the facial features, but still there's this element of that they were put together from this kind of limited toolkit in some ways. It's like for items, like you have a backpack and you have left hip, right hip, hand. And so, I have on my character, I have a money pouch on one hip and I have a sheathed dagger on the other hip. And I don't know, you can position them so they look right. You can move them slightly forward and slightly back so that they kind of look right on the belt, depending on the pose and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still like, I know that there are slots, you know? Like, I know there's the back slot, left hip, right hip. And so, you know, on a mini that was sculpted from scratch by an actual artist, they have all kinds of crazy stuff. They can have bandoliers, and their hair can be like flung out to the side, and they, you know,
right, yeah,
some really, you know, great dynamic poses. And on this, you know, I can tilt the shoulder and the elbow, and actually they have multiple, you know, degrees of freedom for each of those joints. And so you can really get some fairly precise poses.
Yeah.
But there's still this element of, I don't know, maybe if somebody didn't know that I had sculpted this, they'd be like, oh, hey, that's a pretty cool mini. But I know...
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know if it has a soul. I don't know if it is. Is this a real mini or not? Well, and that's something I'm going to be wrestling with. But I haven't painted this yet. I've printed out a couple of copies of it. I like it. It fits my character. It is my character. But yeah.
Okay. If I may be so bold, you should take in one of the models with your head and mesh mix your head onto that model, or at least the face portion. Just throwing that out there. That might give it more of a Brentish soul feel to it. I don't know. So I just painted demonic. Up. I know it's a little much. That'd be hilarious, though. Man, that gives me a really good idea for my Rain in Hell clown army that I'm gonna do. I could just put your face on all of them. Yes. Oh, that sounds amazing. Now, I shouldn't have said that, because I could have rolled up to Adepticon 2022 with a surprise in my pocket, and that would have been the thing. Yeah. Oh man, next time. All right. Hopefully you'll forget. We'll see. Anyways, so my friend was doing a pickup D&D game, and he wanted a character, so he wanted a Hero Forge, made his thing, and he's like, hey man, like, you know, can you print this out for me? I'm like, oh yeah, no big deal. You know, it was a gnome, very small, little guy, right? So I printed up like 3 or 4 just to give him, you know, some options of print quality, you know, different angles and whatever. But I painted one, and it's actually the one he ended up using. I don't know, like I liked the mini. It looked good. It felt like other minis that I had painted. It didn't feel like soulless so much, but it might have been also because of the background that he had given with that model. So I don't know. It's I think because I didn't see the process of it being put together, you know, it felt like any other 3D model that I printed. It was just, oh, this is really cool. It's got a backpack. Sure, he's got a backpack on. He's holding up this pan, you know, because he's like a cook guy, and he's got this like cook hat on, but he's like this gnome with a gnarly beard and this whole thing. And it's like, you know, I painted it up. It had these unique elements about it, and since, like I said, I didn't see it, it felt like any other mini. So I don't know if it's because you saw inside the process.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's, I don't know, I mean, a lot of our models are put together from model kits with a limited number of bits and a limited number of poses you can do.
Yeah.
I don't know, like in some ways, Hero Forge has a lot of options. Like, I don't know, there's 10 different swords that you can use. But in other ways, there's like 1 crossbow and 1 light crossbow, or 1 hand crossbow, and neither of the designs are particularly good. And so there's kind of a clunkiness basic. There of sure. You know, if you're half of the characters in D&D that start with a crossbow, you know?
Yeah. No, I get you. I mean, I don't know. I think the times that I've used a model to play D&D where it was like, you need to pick a model for your character, we're going to meet up, and this is, you know, we're going to play, right? The times where I found a model that sold me on the character was better than something like that.
Mhm.
Like I found something in the wild, so to speak, that was like, oh, that's exactly what I'm thinking. This is what I'm looking for. It's like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Even
And I actually
though
think it is
just, like,
fun
static.
to kind of do both at once. Like have an
Sure,
idea
sure.
for the character and then see what kind of model you can find or make for that character.
Yeah.
And then kind of fine tune the character to the model and have them be, that model.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely a fun way to do it. Yeah, and also actually there's a Kickstarter going right now for something called Dragon Forge or Dragon's Forge.
I've heard of this, yeah.
Yeah, and so it seems to be a similar idea to Hero Forge. And so the Kickstarter, I think you pledge to get some tokens to sculpt and buy some
make
minis.
one, sure.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay.
And that one kind of it seems like they're taking a different approach of you're starting from more of a finished character that you might find, I don't know, from Titan Forge or Artisan Guild or whatever.
Sure.
It's more of like a character with a really dynamic pose and not just right hip, left hip, back, but like, some real character to it of crazy items in various different places.
Okay.
And then you kind of start from one of those and you can modify it from there. So they have, instead of going like a really bland starting point and then you customizing kind of in the direction of what you want, it's more of that you start with like a spicy character and then you customize from there. And I don't know, I'm very curious. Like I'd like to get my hands on that to see what it's like and if that actually is the way it works.
I mean, it makes more sense almost because you have less decision paralysis. Whereas I can see something like Hero Forge, it's like, oh man, like I have to literally see every option before I make a decision.
Right.
It's like I need to know. Whereas like if you were buying a mini in the wild, right? Like I was saying, well, maybe I want to customize that. You do a little bit of kit bashing, a little bit of green stuff, put a cloak on him or some fur or something, but it's like very minimal changes. The sculpt is essentially the same. That feels more akin to what we would do as hobbyists, from an existing cool model.
Right.
So I could see how that makes a little bit more sense. Because you might have the same model as somebody else. It's like similar, but it's like, no, I did all this custom stuff to it, so this is mine. Like, yeah, okay, like the cape swoops in the same direction. Cool, whatever. Like, you're probably not going to run into somebody that has the same thing that you do, right? So it doesn't really matter.
Right. And I know that Hero Forge, like you can start from various presets of, unique characters and kind of change them from there. Like you can, I don't know if they have like a randomizer button, but you can start with like a paladin or a warrior or whatever and kind of go from there. But to me, the experience of using Hero Forge was very much, you start with a mannequin and you dress up your mannequin and you add facial features to your mannequin. And I guess that maybe that's where I'm getting this feeling of them being kind of soulless comes in. Yeah. Whereas, I don't know, it is an interesting idea that Dragon's Forge has of starting with, this is a character and like the dress is like billowing out in a cool way. And yeah, like got this crazy bandolier across their chest, whatever else. But I don't know. So my first experience with, Hero Forge, I mean, I subscribed. I have a lot of Hero Forge tokens that I'm going to be using, so I'll get to know this pretty well here.
Yeah, you'll see how far you can take it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see if so right now I'm a solid like positive medium experience with it. We'll see if that goes up or down as I'm working with them more here.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it was good on my end from like a painting standpoint. I had fun painting the model. Like my friend didn't ask me to paint the model, but after I printed it out, it was like, oh, this is kind of sweet. So like, and I printed multiples, like I said. So I painted one. I'm like, here, you can just have this, and then all these blanks that if you want to paint them. And he's like, well, I'm obviously not going to be painting it, am I? Like, thank you. Like, it's done now. So, that is what it is. But yeah, it was good. I liked it.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, are we ready for the big meaty part of this episode here, Casey?
I feel ready.
Okay.
Mostly, I think. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else. I mean, I got lots of stuff, okay, but we don't need to keep going on about it.
Okay, we'll save some of that for later. I'm ready to get into these hobby setups. So okay, so I think it was episode 4 of Paint Bravely, the podcast. We were kind of rambling along, and we came up with this shoddy ranking system for talking about where you do your hobby and how that affects your hobby. And we always like to upgrade and customize our little happy spaces of where we sit and paint. And so we got to talking about, some people just pull out their little Jurassic Park and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles lunchbox, pencil box, and take that on over to the kitchen table and, set up for a solid hour of happy fun time.
Pretty much.
But some people have a room. Some people have...
They got square footage.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
And so we were trying to come up with a little rubric for that, like a holistic scoring system.
Yeah. A scoring system to rank your hobby space.
Yeah. So we have a refined version that we're going to present today. Argue about, I'm sure, your understanding of what we scribbled down in our Google Doc is a little bit different than my understanding, so we'll talk it out, we'll hash it out here.
See. Yeah.
But yeah, so I encourage you folks to listen along at home. Try to keep track. Think about where you do your hobby and maybe see how many hobby points you're racking up here.
Yeah.
This is sort of a 10-point scale, if you will.
I think we can call it that, if only because our scale goes to 10. Yeah, that seems like a good enough reason.
So last time we presented this, we had a holistic scoring system. So a score of 1 is you take your stuff out to the kitchen table and you do what you can.
Yeah.
And a score of 3 was you have a desk, you have a dedicated desk for your stuff. And then 5 was you have multiple desks and crazy gear all over them and you're doing fine. And I think we're going to retain some elements of that system, but we also have plus and minus modifiers.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to start with a scoring system of 1 through 5, just as kind of a base level of roughly what are we looking at here. Yeah. And then we've got a bunch of plus and minus modifiers so that you can really dial in an exact number. And it is certainly possible for these numbers to add up past 10. But this is the most important rule that I think we're going to present today, is that if you have a number greater than 10, if your hobby setup is so good that you're about to type into the comment section that you have a 12.75, don't do it.
Yeah, don't. Just refrain.
Don't be that person.
Just take a step back.
Yeah. Just leave a comment, I have a pretty good, I'm pretty happy with my hobby setup.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you are forced to give a number at that point, just say it's a 10. Just say it's a 10.
Right. Yeah. I mean, realistically, anything over a 10 and you're still talking about it, you're just being an asshole.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're typing out, man, it's somewhere between a 12 and a 13, but what do you guys think? Do you guys think that I should count my ultrasonic cleaner as an extra 0.5 or just an extra 0.25 because it's a nice ultrasonic cleaner? No, just take a step back. If you're over 10, we're gonna call it a 10. Your setup is good enough. You need to be painting more minis. You need to stop arguing about whether you're at a 12 or a 12.5. You just need to be painting minis. So
yeah.
All right, start us off, Casey.
All right. Well, why don't we go through our basic 1 through 5 system and kind of go from there. We'll I guess we can talk about the modifiers after the fact, but open it up with the basics.
Get our base numbers first.
Yeah.
Think about
where you start,
and then we'll add in the gear and the little things that enhance or detract from your experience.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say, the reason that our system is like it's got a 10 in it, right? But we kind of have a 1 through 5 system is because after 5, well, you start to get into real specific things. Like, well, I want to specialize my hobby space. I'm gonna diverge from mini painting a little, and I'm gonna go 3D printing, right? You know what I'm saying? So your points might start adding up to something else. We don't want to say, oh well, a 6 is you have X amount of 3D printers, because that's ridiculous. Like that doesn't necessarily matter. It's your specialization at that point, and maybe that's something that we can add on after. But it's the customization.
You can't have a 6 if you don't have a 3D printer. A lot of people don't want 3D printers.
That's what I'm saying.
But they might have 3 different types of hot glue gun all set up and ready to go.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying. So I just wanted to clarify that before we really got into this and explain why it's 1 through 5, 10 plus. All right. So number 1 is a non-permanent, maybe a tray table situation. Your stuff is in boxes, a toolbox, a travel box, something like that. And you have to put it away, essentially. So it's something you have to get out to hobby. You have to put away when somebody goes, hey, get your shit off my table. You know what I'm saying?
Dinner is in 5 minutes, and I've got to set the table.
Yeah.
And I am not going to eat next to these orcs again.
Literally.
Get these orcs.
Conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally been there.
Get these gobos off of the table. Right.
Yeah. So I think that, I started in this situation. I had a handful of paints. I had my Ninja Turtles pencil box, some brushes. In fact, just one brush, and a handful of models. And it was like they went up onto the table. I did painting, and then I got yelled at when I left paint on the table. And then I put my stuff back in the box, and it went away into my bedroom. And I think it was like 11 or 12 when that started.
So that is a base score of 1. That is a 1. At certain times of the day, you are allowed to set up here and do some hobby. Now, we're going to get into modifiers later, which actually you could end up with a pretty respectable setup of doing that style. So we're starting at kind of a low base number of using that kitchen table that's got to be used for other stuff frequently.
Right, exactly. Like it's the non-permanence of it that keeps you down at the 1. But there's some really nice travel cases. Right? Mm-hmm. Like some purposefully, like I only use this travel case. That is my hobby space. So that changes, right? Like I could take my party van with a travel space, case, drive up to the lake and hobby over, you know what I'm saying? Like it changes your modifiers.
I was gonna say that you're in Colorado and your kitchen table is right next to this big plate glass window and there's mountains.
Yeah.
That's just this great natural sunlight. And we're gonna get into all these modifiers later, but look, if you have a temporary hobby setup, start with the base level of 1. All right, Casey, what is a 2? Right. What's a 2?
All right, a two, it's just a slight step up, right? As you would imagine. So it's semi-permanent, maybe a small desk or a portion of a larger desk. I'm trying to think. Yeah, now, okay. Back when we did this the first time, we had a small conversation about a writing desk that Brent thought was very funny that I brought up. Turns out, not even that long ago, somebody wrote, and I'm not even kidding, that their hobby space is a writing desk. Thank you very much. Just wanted to throw that out there. So it's kind of a small...
So if you're listening now, you're starting at a 2. We're going to talk about modifiers here in a second.
Yeah.
Now I think I want to include on this, like you have a computer desk, and you just always have your like palette and some minis and some paints sitting at your computer desk.
Right. But you got to like move it out of the way sometimes.
Kind of multi-purposing on a larger desk. I think that fits into somewhere around 2. Could be 3 depending on the exact balance.
Depending. Well, it depends on where your desk is, right? Because if it's like the family computer desk, that's still more of a 2.
Close to a 1 again. Yeah.
I mean, okay, it is, but if it's like, hey, Jimmy, Johnny, Jan, you can have your stuff out over here on this corner, and you can use maybe this like top left drawer for your stuff. But when I got to do my taxes, right, you got to move that stuff out.
That's what I was going to say too. If this is the desk that you pay your bills on, you do your taxes on, and or your homework, yeah,
exactly, yeah, semi-permanent. That's
if you got to move your gaming keyboard out of the way to use this desk, it's you're at about a 2. Like
yeah. So what's the number 3, Brent?
Okay, this is dedicated desk space. The main purpose of this desk is painting miniatures, and I'm also going to say that it is a step up from a writing desk, so it is more than a meter. In width or whatever.
So you got your like standard kind of like a 4-foot type of desk, like your computer desk.
Yeah. Yep. A computer desk, a serious desk, not gigantic. That's going to get us closer into 4, but a dedicated desk. I'm going to say maybe a little bit more than 1 meter, but certainly less than 2 meters. Like you have.
Sure.
You have a small table, decent sized desk for your hobby. Now we're going to talk about all the fixings like drawers and shelves and little knickknacks that are at that desk. That's just base level. Base level 3 is you have a desk for your hobby.
Exactly. I like that. And I think that actually took me a long time to get to. It wasn't until, so I mean, I left the hobby back in the day when I was probably 13. So I only put in a couple years, originally, and it was just a number 1 the whole time. I never had anything really permanent. But yeah, it wasn't until like I owned my first home that I even had like a permanent space, and it was on my computer desk, and that makes sense. It was like a large computer desk in like a office type situation, but that's all it was. It's like there's a bed in there for guests and such. But yeah, it took a long time to get there. So I also want to just throw it out there. Don't be discouraged by where these things are going. We all have to build up to these things. It takes time, or it depends on what you want, right? Like I said, a travel box can be the perfect setup. So just throwing that out there.
I actually think level 3 is a great place to be. And I bet it's actually pretty common for probably a lot of the folks listening to this.
I think so.
You like this hobby enough so that you try to have a desk that maybe you used to spend more time on the computer, but that keyboard is getting farther and farther pushed towards the back. That's getting 2.5, maybe even into 3.
Yeah. That's, it's funny. It's like the more that you get into the hobby, that's exactly what I've found happens for me anyways, is like my mouse and keyboard, they're at their proper angles, for the WASD, and I got the within reach of everything. The mouse pad is, across everything, and it starts to migrate under the monitor, kind of like just pushed forward, and all of a sudden I have a space, and it's like, well, I can't have a mouse pad there because what if I get paint on it? Okay, you got to push that up. Now you got your paper under there, so you can't ruin your desk, right? And then on top, so now you've got a more dedicated space, playing games less and painting more often. Like, it's a weird thing that happened, but it definitely happened. Yeah. So number 5.
Well, number 4 first. Number 4.
Are we on number 4? Oh, I almost skipped the whole number. That would have been terrible. Okay. Well, a number. See, I don't know. these ones get a little bit closer together. I think they start becoming. Yeah. Maybe that's why I accidentally skipped it.
Right,
Anyways.
I'll tell you my concept of a 4, and then you can argue with me, Casey.
Okay,
my concept of a 4 is a big desk. Is like a big
L-shaped
serious
work
desk. Maybe we're talking like an L-shaped desk. Maybe we're talking about kind of a workbench or something like that that's taken up like a good portion of your spare bedroom. Like we're talking about a big surface dedicated to this hobby.
Okay.
Somebody walks into this room and this is like a major feature. Like this is it cannot be ignored. Major feature of this room.
Yeah. Okay, so then this makes more sense now. I'm getting this picture in my mind a little bit better, and I'd forgotten about this kind of in between of like the number 5. Okay, it makes sense for number 4. That's what I'm getting at. So for a while, I had a large computer desk with some extras on it. I had like a paint rack, some other pulled drawers and whatever modifiers essentially, but a large desk in a room that was just a room, and it was there and it was imposing and not necessarily belonging. It's like it clashes with everything else in the room. So it's like your dedicated space that could be in a guest room or an office that is extra large. Yeah. And definitely more maybe the purpose of the room.
An extra small table and you make an L for yourself there because you need a little more space to stack stuff. Yeah.
I almost sneezed. It was real bad.
Just be honest with yourself. It's not a competition. Like if you're doing pretty well, you don't need to stretch it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's no reason to stretch. Okay.
And if you're not sure if you're at a 3 or you're a 4, give yourself a 3.5 and we can move ahead. But what is a 5 starting point, Casey?
Okay, a 5 starting point is a dedicated hobby space, like a big space, like a room. So you can say, this is my hobby room. This is the area that I do hobby in. Maybe it was made for you, or you took over some room in the house or the basement or something like that. It has a big desk in it. It's got a workbench, lights, shelves, that kind of thing. Probably lights are one of the bigger additions to that. You really start getting into honing in on seeing everything and just building a space around you more than just the desk in front of you. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm also thinking about it at one of the dividing points as you having multiple workstations. Like you have a desk for painting and you have a desk for assembling and gluing popsicle sticks. Like you have a desk for painting and separately down in the basement you have a desk with 3D printers and ultrasonicators on it.
I like that, yeah. Multiple
so it can
setups.
Either be like 5, it's either like you're getting pretty close to dominating your spare bedroom, or right. 5 is you have multiple dedicated spaces spread across your house or apartment or whatever. Yeah.
I might even suggest that the spare bedroom becomes a place where you go, no, you probably shouldn't sleep in there. Because, like I don't want anything to get messed up. I don't want you to have a bad night of smelling resin or...
I can't remember. Are you the one with asthma or was that your brother?
Exactly. Like when that's a concern... You've moved into 5 territory. Like you have a room, you have a very dedicated space that is 100% about the hobby all the time. It cannot be used for something else. Cannot.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I think so this is the outlines of kind of what we talked about in episode 4 of Paint Bravely, the podcast. We were just kind of brainstorming how we might start to think about the different hobby spaces we have and how much they're taking over our living spaces and whether we can maybe chill out from optimizing them a little bit or maybe if there's a little more room to optimize, But this was our starting point. But like you said, Casey, there is so much room for specialization and optimization in different directions that now we need to talk about ways that each of those basic types of setups can be made extra special and extra useful, and maybe some things that kind of make them less appealing than you might ordinarily think. So
sure, I like it. So you want to kind of
get your base number and get ready to be adding some halves and some quarters, and
that would be the thing to do. Is I'm wondering if we just start at the beginning again, essentially, and start going through the possibilities. Do you want to go through the whole list or for each one? I'm not sure how we want to do this.
Well, so we do have a couple of things that only apply to portable spaces. And then all the rest of everything else on our list of modifiers here can apply to any of the more permanent sort of setups, or actually any of the setups. So
I suppose that's true.
Or if you're at a level 1, if you are, setting up and breaking down, breaking down every time you do your hobby, I think if you really have an elegant system, like a well-organized kit, you roll out your little leather bundle of knives out on the table, and you got your all your lunch boxes with everything in order. I think if you've really got a system, I think you get an extra point easy.
Oh yeah, that makes sense, because it's almost so good that it's more towards permanent than not. Yeah. Even though you have to take it out every time, it's like, no, but I got this.
It's useful, it's organized, and it's, it shows the love that makes it enjoyable to do your hobby. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I like that.
And I think there certainly is room for, like, if you really have a system, I think you can get +2.
Well, yeah. If your, I guess, box, if you will, whatever you're carrying all your stuff in, has a pop-out LED light that can hang over the top, and it is powered from within your box, this is definitely a +2. Definitely. Because that is some permanent stuff. Like, no, I have to. This is where my light is. This is where I got like a water tray that's built into the corner. I push a button and it comes out the side. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty good. You have magnetic holders inside your box for your models. Like, they magnetically stay there. You can have 4 or 5 models ready to go. All your paints, they kind of, come out a little bit at an angle when you open that drawer. And all of a sudden you have a whole space in front of you. Nice open space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Tony Stark helps to design your portable painting setup, that's +2, easy. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that's a good place to be. I envy those people. I do.
Yeah.
Like that minimalist.
I've seen some of the commercially available portable painting kits, and I mean some of them seem cool. I think a lot of those are more in the +1 area, because a lot of those I look at and I see oh, hey, that's kind of cool, that kind of works, but this looks like it'd get into the way. It doesn't actually seem like you can put too many paints in that design. I don't know.
That's true.
There are none of the portable kit designs that I've looked at and I'm like, this is amazing. This is the best. There's some decent looking ones out there that are a solid +1, but I think from what I've seen, maybe you get one of the commercially available ones and you make your own special modifications to it. Maybe that's how you get a +2.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I've seen some pretty sweet looking handmade wooden kits that have all the modular drawer systems and water trays and brush holders and literally LED lights that slide out and they turn on, and it's like you've got the double lamp LED thing going on, the perfect lamp setup, right? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. That's just how you feel about it too. If you feel like you hit that +2, then you know what? If you feel it, you earned it. Yeah.
Yeah. And there are going to be lots of other ways for you to get bonus points here. So
That's
even
true.
even if you don't have a permanent setup. So yeah. I think those were the only ones that are just for the portable folks, but portable folks, if they really got a system, they can be up to a 3 already, no problem.
That's true.
So yeah.
That's true.
Okay.
All right. Well, why don't we start going down the list, and we'll just talk about each one as they pop up.
Okay. Do you have a place where you can spray paint prime models? Do you have access to a place where you can spray paint? So, I've lived in various apartments where I have to go out into the parking lot and just pretend like it doesn't bother to me to just be standing in the middle of a mostly empty part of the parking lot with minis
in whatever
spray
weather
paint.
is. Yeah.
So that is not an ideal setup, but I think that's worth a quarter of a point. Like, if you have a place where you can make it work, that you can coat your minis with spray paint without going to sleep in that room, yes, you.
Yeah.
If you can go outside, prime your minis, come back inside, and not have to smell spray paint for the next 3 days, you get yourself plus 0.25 points. And I think if you have a good place to do that, like a private backyard or just, a place where your neighbors aren't going to be making fun of you or angry at you, then that's a full plus 0.5, I think.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. And obviously you could go ridiculous and go, no, I literally have a paint booth with filtration and suction. You know what I'm saying? That's totally a thing.
Yep.
So.
Yeah,
and I don't know what that would be worth.
Look, if you really gotta feel like giving yourself more points, and you've got a really good place to spray paint, who am I to say you can't give yourself a full +1 for that? But I think access to a good place to spray paint, a reasonable place to spray paint, access, a back porch or something, I think that's worth 0.5.
At least half a point, because it's you can, I can step outside this door that's over here, that's attached to my hobby space, do some spray paint real quick, just walk right back in the door. It's no big deal. I think that makes some sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, the next one is access to a good place to basically have 3D printer or an airbrush.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is probably an interior space that has good ventilation or is at least separate from where living creatures are spending most of their time.
Right. Exactly.
So this could be, could be a spare bedroom with a filtration hood kind of thing. It could be that sort of setup. It could be, a basement where people aren't spending too much of their time. It could be a garage. But if you have access to a good interior place where you can either 3D print or airbrush without, anybody sleeping 10 feet away, I think that's worth a solid 1 point right there, because not everybody has that.
No, that can be tough. Even for a long time, my station was very open, in a large room, but in a room with people,
Right.
So running an airbrush like that, not ideal, not ideal.
No, I certainly used to do a lot of airbrushing just in, a bedroom in an apartment, and that was not ideal. I had, I did have a HEPA filter set up nearby, but the room still got cloudy.
That's when you
in there.
Really need to be I gotta change something here, because when you get that whole cloud effect with an airbrush and you can see it, it's you need to be spraying into a fan that is attached to a HEPA filter, right? That cloud has to go somewhere. Not that it's I'm not a doctor. It's not the most unhealthy thing in the whole world, but it's not exactly good for you either. It's not like you should be breathing in paint fumes. It's not great.
I mean, on any of these safety things, I mean, it's hard to say, like, how bad is it to do this? I don't know. How bad is it to smoke 1 cigar a year? I don't know. How bad is it to smoke 2 cigars a year? I don't know.
How often do you airbrush?
It's not good, but like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, having a place where you really don't feel guilty about either having, resin out and 3D printing, or, is kind of about the same sort of place that you might be willing to have an airbrush going. Just have a little bit of air protection. I don't know. I think that's something that not everybody has access to, and it's a plus one if you have that. And like I said, with the customization and specialization, that can be either 3D printing or airbrushing, or I'm sure there's some working with a lot of dusty grout or something.
Actually, yeah, like mixing up,
or like power sand, a place where you're willing to power sand. Or
yeah, so where you can have a palm sander on, like if you're building boards or something. Okay, good example. Luke at Geek Gaming used to build boards a lot, right? That was a big thing he used to do. And his hobby space at his house is like this kind of upper attic thing that did not have ventilation or didn't seem to. And I mean, he would end up, and I've seen this lots of times on his channel, where he would start in there and then eventually end up outside, like in the garden, with everything up on like sawhorses to finish the board. Because it's like,
the missus don't like me doing this in here, but me do it anyway. Yeah,
exactly. So, you got to keep that stuff in mind. That like even like static grasses and the grouts and the powders and the sands and all the stuff you're putting down like that, it definitely starts to add up. Like I have stains on my floor from like fake moss that won't come out even with a vacuum. It's just in there, Yeah. So this stuff gets everywhere.
Yeah. All right. So we'll move on here. Now we're assuming that with any of these setups you have light, but if you have legitimately good light, that's an easy half of a point right there. If you have a good, whatever type of light it may be, but if you have put extra light at your hobby desk and it seems to be doing good by you, that's 0.5 easy. Yep. And if it's really good, that's +1.
Yeah, if it's really good. Now,
I
suppose the example for that is there are plenty of overhead LED lamps that are fairly inexpensive on Amazon that are good lights. They clip on, they're good. Even a little bit better than that is the like IKEA desk clamp lights, and you put 2 above you and they're adjustable, so you eliminate the shadows, right? That's like borderline very good lights. In fact, those are really all you ever need, technically. But as a step up to earn that extra half a point, it's going to go out. Yeah. I have a ring light above my head that drops circular.
You love that ring light.
Over the model and gives me the perfect amount of light, 360 degrees.
Hey, you can have a full point, Casey. I'll give it to you.
That is an extra. It's extra is what it is. It's too much. But I love it.
Yeah. Really well lit, decent color, and not crazy shadows all over the place.
I think the shadow elimination is really what you're looking for. Like the light temperature is you start getting a little bit into that like real specific how paint reacts with light, the reflection of that light into your eye, and all these other kind of color theory types of things. Like you don't want something that's too dark, you don't want something that's overly bright, but that seems even more extra. But.
And of course, people who are actually good at painting will suggest that you look at models in various different lights.
That's true.
And so that's even better if you have, some pretty good bright lights where you're working, but it's very easy to get some different lights around your room. That's even better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are things you should be looking for.
Bring your model to the window every so often. See what it looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that. Okay, so at your painting desk, you may have a wet palette, and you almost certainly have a cup of water. So I am going to say that easy access to a sink is worth 1/4 of a point.
Man, that's important too. It's good.
Yep. Now, the nearest sink to me is a bathroom, and it's a little bit of a walk away, and so I don't know if I'm getting that 1/4 a point.
I have a sink, shower, and toilet attached to my hobby space.
Nice. That's a 1/4 point easy.
Yeah.
And I think that some people, it's possible that they're working in a place that has like a utility sink nearby.
Definitely.
A place where you can be washing anything, no matter how nasty and paint clogged it is. Like if you have a utility sink in easy access to your hobby room, that's 1/2 a point. Easy.
Oh yeah, because that you can throw anything in there. You can throw all the dirty paint water you want. Doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
It's all
if
stained.
you have a sink where you can just be chucking paintbrushes in the bottom of the sink and leaving them there for a few hours, that's what I'm talking about. That's a solid 1/2 point right there. That's a nice luxury. And if you have
please
that,
don't do that.
take that 1/2 point for yourself. Yeah.
Don't be that person though. Yeah. Okay. I before because we're kind of like halfway through at this point, but I did want us to point out that you can tell some of these modifiers, right? They make sense. They're giving you plus points. They're giving you like a good amount, right? You're getting a 1/2 point, 1/4 point, whatever. It's when you move into the like slightly like, yeah, you could just chuck paintbrushes in there and not give a shit. It's the douchebag point that you're kind of getting. Maybe that's harsh. Maybe it's a little harsh because I fall into this a lot of the times, But I just wanted to throw that out there. It's why the 10 is the 10, and you shouldn't talk about more than a 10. So
right. When I go to the sink with my dirty paint water, I pour the paint water very carefully right down the center of the drain so that I'm not staining the sink bowl with my paint water. Like hey, I have access to a drain and access to water, but I'm not exactly giving myself bonus points for that. Like that's
right.
Now, if I had utility sink where you just slosh that on in there, and you've got like a permanent pickle jar full of like super clean in the bottom of your sink that you're chucking your paintbrushes into. Like, hey, that might not normally come across as like your setup at your hobby desk, but that is a real nice little luxury that you have that other people might not have. So
that's a better way to put it. It's the luxury aspect, the slightly above average aspect of it. Maybe that's what I'm getting at.
And maybe you haven't considered this before, but you're like, hey, that is kind of nice. But
it's not like it's not.
Yeah, when I do actually take my paintbrushes over to a sink, which I don't do too often, but yeah, again, it's a bathroom sink, and I'm being very careful to get the paint going straight down the drain so that I'm not, staining the sink bowl or anything.
Yeah. I do have to be careful with my attached bathroom. Well, I do generally get it pretty messy. It is still used by other people. Like my wife's office is behind mine, so that's the closest bathroom. So I gotta be careful. Like I can't just slosh paint everywhere. I tend to, and I have to clean it up often. So Yep.
All right, little luxuries here. Do you have a trash can next to your hobby desk?
Yes.
When you're cutting apart your popsicle
box.
sticks, and you got that waste piece of popsicle stick, and you got your little bit of paper towel that's as full of paint as it's gonna get, do you have a trash can next to your desk? And it's not like you're generating a ton of trash, but every once in a while you generate a little bit of trash, and do you have to get up to throw it away, or can you keep your desk nice and neat while you're sitting there? That's the question.
Yeah.
Trash can next door is 1/4 of a point.
Yeah. You should pretty much no matter where you are, just have access to a trash can. That's a good idea. I don't know. It's like weirdly, inevitably something. It's like, I'm airbrush. I got to pop up this glove. It's like, well, what do I do with it? Oh, the trash can. I got to toss that.
It's actually pretty common where I have a couple of small trash cans that I was starting out at base 5 because I've got a couple of stations, But there are times where like my trash cans aren't nearby and it's noticeable. Like,
right, yeah, you feel it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh no, I've got resin literally all over my gloves and like I need to do something and I can't touch anything. I can't like open a door.
I need to stand up to go throw this away. That's not as ideal as it could be. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's definitely something to think about.
How you feeling, Casey?
I'm feeling okay. I don't know what's going on.
We've had a couple of... Do you have access to Kleenex, to tissues near your hobby space?
It's a good call since I've been pulling my nose
Of
periodically.
menthol cough drops? Yeah.
I do, actually, which is the whole thing. It's a whole other thing. But no, I have a paper towel roll attached to my desk over here, as well as gloves. I got one of those like glove holders. Pops out the gloves, but
Nice.
That's a different thing. Yeah.
Actually, okay, before we forget, I didn't write this down, but if you have a paper towel holder within reach at your desk, that's a quarter point easy. I was pretty happy when I set one of those up. I almost forgot about that. That is easy quarter point.
Okay, out of almost everything that I have in my hobby space, the paper towel dispenser is the best thing I have. Mm-hmm. Like, hands down. Every single time it comes up, I'm like, thank you. Like, it's there. I can grab the paper towels. I don't have to like run to the kitchen to be like, holy crap, I need to like clean something up right now. Like, this cannot spread, especially when you're working with 3D printers. Like, you have to have paper towels right next to you at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's been a lifesaver. A lot.
Yeah. You know what? If you're desperate for points, I'll let that be half a point. If you've got, if you're sitting and painting right now and you can reach out with one hand and get a paper towel, give yourself half a point, Oh, half a point, Casey, right there. Yeah.
I think I'm not sure if that even got on the camera or not.
I don't know.
I didn't want to pull paper towels halfway across the frame. Up next, what else do we got? That's pretty important. Display. What are you doing? Display shelf. Yes. Do you have a shelf to display your models? Well, after you're done painting stuff, where are you putting it?
Yeah.
That's
and this doesn't have to be at your painting desk. This can be anywhere in your living space or place of work or dorm room or your local library. If you have a place where you display your miniatures,
right?
I think that's plus 0.5 to your hobby setup.
Yeah, because you're decluttering. You got specific, a space for your stuff, right? You're being thoughtful. This goes here.
Yeah. I mean, if your way of displaying your finished minis is to put them into a shoebox and put them under your bed, you don't get any points for that. But if you have a shelf that is dedicated to your minis, that's half a point. I have written down here, like, if you have a display case, so that is like glass doors and maybe multiple shelves within that case, that's a full point. And, be honest with yourself. Like, if you have multiple display cases, like, you figure out a point system for yourself. But, like, a nice display case, point easy. Yeah.
Okay, once again, I just want to stop and remind everybody that the extra that we're talking about, it's like, yes, I have display cases that puts me into level 20 of my hobby situation. I have a display case here, and here, and here. It's because your ego's so big. That's all. That's why.
Yeah. I refuse to count past 10. Exactly. I refuse. If your number goes past 10, then you don't have to tell us. Yeah.
Right, you don't have to. You can be modest about it. I'm just saying. Be a little humble. That's all. That's all we're asking for. That being said, I do have a display case here, there, and there.
Yes, your hobby number is very high, Casey.
It is high.
Very high hobby
but
number.
Not above 10.
Not above 10.
Not above 10.
You've got a nice setup. That's what you say.
I do.
How good is your hobby setup? I'm pretty happy with it. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Pretty nice. That's what you say.
No complaint.
Okay. Oh. Now, talking about things that are pretty nice, do you have any sweet posters on your wall? You got any cool decorations to... Okay, I have a sweet poster of Space Cop. So
there you go.
That's a quarter of a point. If you have sweet posters, that is 1/4 of a point.
Well, I mean, you got some Goobertown originals behind you, you know. Look,
Oh yeah, I've got some cats behind me too. Yeah, those count. Those count.
Yeah, oh yeah.
If you count. If you have enriched your environment with stimulating artwork of any kind, like if you have decorated your space in a way that makes you happy to be in that place and makes it inviting to spend time in, 1/4 of a point for nice posters. Easy. Yeah.
It's nice. It's nice to look at, especially when you get some good posters. You know, you got some nice stuff. Like, I got this real nice, like, Dark Souls Once Upon a Bonfire, like, screen printed poster that I like very much that I've had for a while. I got this, like, Sauron's Dark Ale poster up over here that was a nice printed out piece that my wife got me. Yeah, so
I've got a fish.
Yeah, fish in a very small tank, but you know that's a whole point system on its own. We'll go into that another time.
That's different. We'll rank fish tanks later. Yeah.
If you want a fish tank ranking episode, just hit us up, Paint Bravely. Just leave a comment down in the YouTube channel comments, and we'll come up with a ranking system for fish tanks.
You know what? I actually do have an entry here for good pets or goobers, and I guess that's open to interpretation. But if your place is made more inviting by good pets, that is pets that put you in a good mood, that relax you, that you want to spend time with, and don't mess with your flow, that's worth 1/2 point.
Okay.
But not all pets are good pets.
Well, okay, but I mean, you got 2 cats in your space. And for the most part, they do pretty good. I think they've been filmed several times, getting into some stuff, holding some shenanigans, if you will. On this podcast, they are on this podcast quite often, hitting that microphone. Which isn't a bad thing, you know, not, there goes one now. It's not necessarily a bad thing. So, you know, I could see that. You got some cats that are not getting into your resin vats and your paint waters.
I think on here somewhere I also have like a space for like if you have bad pets that are getting into your stuff, that can
that's
be
100%
a demerit.
Yeah, if you have a dog,
you're gonna have to be honest.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to rank each of your pets or goobers separately. And kind of see what they average out to, and yeah. All right, so kind of in line with the like enriching the environment. If you are the sort of person who watches reruns of The Office while you paint, you know, if you do have a space to set up a laptop with that on it, or if you actually have, I don't know, whatever, speakers, TV, whatever sort of entertainment setup that is useful to you, I think that's if you want it to be, it's 1/2 point. I don't know.
A hot tip coming at you real quick. If you do want a TV at your hobby space and you don't want a TV at your hobby space, I would recommend either, obviously, an iPad, because that's pretty straightforward, but that's not what I'm talking about. The Echo, Alexa Echo thingies with the screen, they have screens now, are incredibly useful in a hobby space. You put timers on things, make schedules, reminders, and you can watch freaking TV and movies.
My goodness.
Throw that out there. Yeah.
All right. So I think that's some of the fluff points there. But let's get into like actual hobby tools, supplies, organization.
Yeah, because this is I don't know. I guess again, it's that the adding the luxury things, or the things that make it a little more convenient to do your hobby, right? Like if you have an airbrush, it's a luxury tool. You know, it's extra. You don't need it. Paintbrush is what, $6, 6 cents, depending on who you are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, that certainly makes a difference. So you don't need an airbrush to do this hobby. Like, come on now. I mean, some might argue you do, but whatever. I would. I'm that person, but that's definitely a point. Right? You got extra. I think we already said that for airbrushes, but yeah.
So I have written down here that if you have a decent selection of paints and they are decently organized and they are available to hand there at your hobby desk, whether it be a permanent or temporary hobby desk, that's half a point.
It's a good call.
You got a decent number of paints and you know where the ones you want are and you're able to reach out and get a useful paint. That's the one you want in like 10 seconds. Hey, you got a decent organization system there, half a point.
Yeah.
You're painting, you got the paint you need right there, ready to go, half a point.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that the same goes with brushes and tools. Like if right there you were able to get the diamond file, the sanding stick, the big paintbrush, the little paintbrush, the makeup brush, if you're able to just, without getting up, reach and grab the thing you want.
Yeah.
Good selection, good organization for your tools, half a point.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Well, the things within arm's reach, as it were, that's kind of the important bit. If you can grab it, without, you got your swivel chair, but you just grab it, go. Yeah.
Yes.
I like
that.
Now
you were talking about whether or not you get points for actually having an airbrush or something like that.
I mean, we did say that earlier. Technically,
the place. I was talking more about like you have access to a good place to do that.
Sure.
We can talk. Yeah. So there's. Okay, so we just talked about there being points available for like your basic paints readily available, your basic tools readily available. Now there's the more like luxury items, and we buy a lot of silly luxury items, but this is just other tools that are not strictly necessary that we tend to accumulate if given enough time and disposable income. So, model holders, brush holders, paint holders, ultrasonic cleaner, paint shaker, airbrush, 3D printer. I mean, there's, if you want to count like Dremel, hot glue gun, static grass applicator.
That's
like like luxury kind of tools that might be at your desk. I don't know. Give yourself up to 2 points. You got a lot of crazy junk. Give yourself 2 points.
Maybe if you have an airbrush setup that's like airbrush compressor, you got some way to ventilate, whether that's just opening a window or fan or whatever. That can count as the one. And then if you have something so left field as a static grass applicator to go along with your hobby of painting miniatures, that could be the 2-pointer for sure. Because that's like the spectrum of things, right? It's like, I bought this $50 paintbrush, static grass applicator on the other end of that. It's like, are you painting? Or are you building terrain? Like, which one? Oh, you're doing both at like a luxury level, Like that's definitely when you add that extra point. Yeah.
So we talked about electricals before, but I think a power strip that is safe and has lots of easily available plugs, that's a quarter of a point. And depending on how much you love it, it might even be half a point. Like good access to a good power strip.
Yeah.
That's on a proper circuit. That's not going to burn your house down.
So far, so
not too many daisy chained extension cords.
Right. Now so the other day I got this weird comment about like, video is fine. Did you see that horribly unsafe electrical job at like 4 minutes and 8 seconds or something, And it's like, excuse me? And I responded to that comment. I was like, because I do have a like a flat plug extension cord that's plugged in to the wall, and I've run it through like one of those like conduit pieces, the plastic covers that go on the wall, and it goes up and over a door that goes behind my hobby desk over here. So I have this like lamp behind me. I can run my airbrush, basic stuff. And one of the panels had fallen off of the actual track. And I mean, it's like they snap on there, they come off. So of course my response was like, "Oh no, sir, like I believe I'm taking more responsibility and not just leaving rando electrical out by covering this entire cable and not running it across the room on an open floor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This extension cord is a permanent part of my house."
It is now. Yeah. But essentially, instead of running it just across the room to go under my desk, it's like 3 feet away, I ran it up and over a door behind me and down the wall through this nice plastic. You know what I'm saying? It's a little extra, but it's safety.
Yeah.
Safety.
Yeah, if because we do have lights and stuff, and if you do got your Alexa plugged in or whatever,
Exactly.
Proper electricals, 1/4 of a point, and if you're really proud of your cable management, give yourself half a point.
I feel good about it. I mean, like my Vortex has to be plugged into something. Like, that's just how it goes.
Okay, so I've got something else written down here, but I don't know if it overlaps with some of the other stuff we've done. So,
okay,
if your desk has drawers, like if your desk has drawers with like actual pretty good organization system for stuff that you use a lot, I think that may be worth an extra half point. And the same goes for like shelves within reach, either shelves like right behind your desk or to the sides or whatever.
Yeah.
So that goes into a little bit of like having your paints and your tools organized, but I think you can go above and beyond if you've also got your tons of space for your pastes and gravel and putties and glues and all that stuff. So
that's true. You can go pretty nuts with it. For a long time I used what are they, like they're flat shelves with like a little lip on the end to put pictures in. They kind of lean up against the wall. And they're I guess they're just picture shelves, but they're really shallow. They're like 2.5 inches in depth, right? And it's perfect for most paints, so I just and they're like 5 feet, wide. So they're pretty minimal on your wall, and you just like line all the paints up and all your stuff. I did that for a long time. That worked out pretty good.
That is excellent.
They're like cheap. Yeah. From Walmart too. They're super cheap.
Yeah. So in my current setup, I actually don't have any good shelves in reach, but it's a desk that's an actual desk with drawers, and many of those drawers are set up for hobby stuff with little dividers and stuff. So I'll give myself a little extra bonus for that, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Right.
Of course, the step up from that would be something like a hobby zoned MDF setup. With racks and drawers and all the things.
No, I think you can give yourself a point for that. I know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that's definitely the going above and beyond, like organization, because every little drawer is like very specific. Like I do like that about those systems. They're kind of fun because it's like, ooh, this little drawer, you're only gonna have heads in it. That's all I'm putting in you. Like I have a head drawer.
Love it.
Just little tiny heads in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and any of these setups that we've been talking about can be, improved so much with some organization. Like if you have storage and organization right at hand, it's a good feeling and it's actually really useful, and yeah, definitely worth a serious modifier. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
So next up is comfortable chair. If you have a chair that allows you to be comfortable, ergonomic, safe for long periods of time at your hobby desk, a good chair is worth a solid point. And it depends. It depends entirely on your body. You know whether your chair is average or whether your chair is actually a good place to be sitting.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, and you think about it, like, chairs can get expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the nicer they are, you get the
And it doesn't have to be
ultra-luxury
an expensive chair, but just like a chair that works with your body, and like you don't feel terrible if you sit there for 4 hours on a marathon of painting, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, like all of my desks are they're workshop height, so I have like a swivelly workshop bench with a good footrest that goes around, and it's got like a little backrest too. That's pretty nice.
And that's important, that your chair matches your desk.
Oh yeah, it's adjustable too. That's usually a bonus. Yeah, nice adjustable chair.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so going along with that of comfort, do you have temperature and humidity control? So
yeah, that's pretty important. That probably should be like one that goes a little bit deeper, a little earlier, because like if you just straight up don't have a heater in your hobby space, like, and all of your paints freeze, that's not a good thing. It would be so bad. Yeah,
I mean, that's the extreme, but yeah, do you have to wear a hat while you're hobbying?
Right.
And like, hey, some people like to wear hats, but
space,
do you
right?
have to wear a hat like it during certain seasons, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like some basements get cold.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you're losing.
You want some sense of control. Yeah.
Yeah, you're losing nimbleness in your fingers from sitting there for too long.
Right, exactly. Yeah, when you can start to feel it in your the tips of your fingers, like it's time to get something else. It's time to get a heater, something. 3D printing in temperature control. You have to have a temperature controlled space, right?
So,
like, you can't really do it without it.
So we're actually getting into the minuses now. But if you are just hobbying in like a basement that has no temperature or humidity control, I think you can lose a full point for that if it's really not climate controlled. That can be a full point for sure.
Yeah, because it can just be bad for a lot of your stuff. You know, your paint starts to go weird. Like if you store spray paint in there, then your spray paint's gonna start going weird. Like I said, the 3D printing, if you're doing any of that, just, you know, you can have failed prints because of temperature, you know, like could be for no other reason. So that's definitely a negative. That's a big negative.
Yeah. And we just talked about a chair. Like if you do have a chair that is hurting you, that's -1.
Yeah. First of all, stop sitting in that chair.
Yeah.
Get a new chair. Like you could probably find one for free.
This is an easy upgrade, and that's why we're going to give it such a big minus, is because I want you to pay attention to it. If your chair is hurting you, that is a -1. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you need to be comfy. You got to be comfy. If you're painting minis and you're not comfy, you're doing it wrong.
Now, we were kind of joking about this last episode, I think. But if your hobby space has access to poisonous spiders or scorpions or snakes, if there is anything ants, poisonous which might legitimately hurt you in your hobby space, that's a -1. That could be a larger minus depending on how bad it is.
Well, okay, like legitimately, like scorpions sting you, they're not going to kill you. Black Widow,
still -1.
You got to go to the hospital. You know what I'm saying? Snakes less likely coming in the house unless you're in Australia, and then I don't even know how you hobby in Australia. Like, how do you guys do it?
Just be ridiculous. Honest with the actual risk of venomous creatures in your hobby space and how venomous they are. just be honest. This could be anywhere from -1 to -10. So
yeah, so we know several hobbyists who live in Australia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like just mutually, we do. You know, and as we do occasionally talk amongst each other, we were talking about eventually heading over to Australia. And one person was like, "Oh yeah, that'd be cool. You could stay here or here." And then they're like, "Well, maybe you want to stay at so and so's place because there's a lot less spiders than where I'm at." And it was just like, "Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that." And it's like, yeah, their hobby space is just riddled with murderous, venomous, freaking animals, and it's like,
just wear my bee suit the whole time.
Literally,
bees.
yeah.
Yeah, if you have bees or wasps.
If you have bees.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ants,
that's a negative.
Also could be a minus. Ants are more like minus 0.5, I have written down if you got like an ant issue.
Yeah.
Look, just
because that
be
can
honest,
be dealt with, right?
You got any little critters that shouldn't be there, you don't have to tell us. Just be honest with yourself. Apply an honest and appropriate modifier. Negative modifier.
Well, like, okay, when I was talking about this, and I know why you put it on here, but when I was talking about this, I was talking about a fear, like an illegitimate fear that I have.
No, you know what? I think real or imaginary count. Like if you have a fear,
if I think there could potentially
get out
be.
your notepad, write down your list of fears that you feel while you're at your. I mean, you don't need to write down like inadequacy or your
like if it's haunted, that's a minus
imposter syndrome, or you don't need to write down those fears. But if you have any like physical fears while sitting in your hobby space,
sure,
think about why that is and apply the appropriate modifier. Like that is absolutely worthy negative of the cool poster. That is the opposite of having cool posters.
Okay.
Yeah, having fears.
So according to our system, the potential for poisonous snakes can be canceled out by a sick ass poster in your hobby space.
Yeah, no, I think our system is fair and balanced.
It's fair. Yeah. It's definitely
if you have
fair.
A trap door above or below you that is freaking you out while you're working, be honest with yourself and apply the modifier. That's all we're saying.
All right. Well, that section of my hobby space will receive a -1.
Now, if you have any bad pets that have access to your hobby space, if any pets are knocking over your paint water, getting weird footprints all over stuff, getting into your pigments,
just eating your models.
Yeah, that can be up to -1 for sure.
Per item that your dog has destroyed, assuming you have a dog that destroys things.
Again, with any of these negatives, just be honest with yourself. But if you have some bad pets or goobers, that could be in the vicinity of -1. Yeah.
True, I agree. Luckily, I don't have any animals that come back here. I do have a bird that's back in the same general area that I am, but not in my hobby space. Occasionally, he does fly in and hangs out in my hobby space. He's been on the channel a few times. Little finch. Kind of nice.
So my cat's litter pan is actually near my painting desk, and I am giving myself a demerit for that.
That would smell awful.
I mean,
occasionally.
People with cats are used to the smell, but every once in a while, like when Gordon goes,
oh
yeah, you're eating the same thing as Snuffles.
You're just
like it. Yeah.
Yep. If you're sitting there and you can't see that litter pan and you're painting, you're just about ready to get in there and paint that eyeball, with your little 6-cent makeup brush. And all of a sudden, that wafting smell of Gordon hits you right in the face, and you derp your model. Well, that's definitely a negative. So
and whether animal related or not, if your hobby space has funky smells that are distracting you, that's -0.5. Yeah. Again, just be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
are there things that are making you feel creative and comfortable and happy to be there, or are there things that are just detracting from that? Funky smells, be honest. That's a -0.5. If you live in an apartment
above a deli, I don't know what to tell you. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you have annoying sounds, like not smells, but sounds? Clanking pipes, noisy neighbors. That's -0.5.
I think I'm right there. It's pretty quiet. Occasionally, weirdly too, at like 2 a.m, like I'll get a neighbor that's down the street that likes to work on like hot rods, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like the annoyingly loud like rat rod style ones. And they just love to be like, oh man, I've done all this work. Let's test it out at 2 a.m. and like rev the engine for a good solid like 20 seconds. And it's like, it's loud, okay?
You might have to give yourself a minus 0.5 for that.
Well, I should probably, in the case of just being up at that late anyways, not be giving myself points for anything, you know what I'm saying?
That's minus points for your sleeping arrangement,
anything past
too.
Midnight, and all of a sudden, yeah, you're really you're starting to take a hit on your painting quality, like at a certain point. I mean, everybody's different, obviously, but generally, you hit a certain point, and you know what that point is for yourself. Like you just should go to bed because you're not going to be getting anything productive done, you know. So,
right.
Yeah, you know, just yeah.
Right, so those were the big negatives I had written down. I think if you have access to nice natural light, I think that can be worth a full plus 0.1 if we're trying to get back up some points after your funky spells and like noisy neighbors. If you need some more points, if you are painting during the day, and be honest about this, if you do paint during the day and you have nice natural light, give yourself up to +1. Because that is nice.
Like a skylight? Poof.
Ooh. Yeah, a nice bay window. Yeah. A dormer.
Oh, yeah.
You got your nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's what I had written down here. I mean, I want you guys to think about if there's anything we missed. We welcome.
We definitely did.
Friendly debate about this stupid system. We want you to. The point of this is mostly to have fun, but also just to think about, like, you know, how to make little improvements where you live and work so that you spend more time there and paint some more models. Yeah.
Well, and obviously, like, you know, we talk about jokingly like the ego thing and the getting up there, and it is just something probably to keep in mind that like not everybody has an awesome hobby space that's separate in their own room and whatever, but you can still have a really good space without all that stuff. And honestly, having more stuff is not necessarily a good thing. Like, it can be a detriment to getting your stuff done. I wanted to put on this list, it's a negative if you have too many models to paint. This is straight up negative. It sucks. It's a bad feeling, and you're never going to paint them all. So, you know, keep in mind that like too much is not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah. No, I haven't done all the math on this, but I'm pretty sure that you can get up to a total of 10 if your kitchen table has some nice light and it's in a nice environment. That's true. It's at the right temperature, and you know, on a kitchen table, actually, you probably have to drag over a different chair for it to really be ergonomic and a good place to sit. At least all the kitchen chairs I've ever sat in.
That's a good point. Like, if your computer desk is on the same level and your painting area can then be pulled with the nice chair or something, you know what I mean? Because like I've got my nice swivelly chair for my tall desks, and then in the closet with my computer, where I used to paint, it's like it's got the nice computer chair, you know, and my computer, but I don't paint there very often. But I don't know, you could pull it out.
Yeah, be thankful for the cool hobby spaces that you do have, no matter how crazy or humble they may be, and yeah.
I mean, the point is that you're making an effort from even the first level to just paint some minis, right? Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's definitely important.
So I am happy with this second attempt at this ranking system. I think we've come a long way from giving it no thought at all in episode 4. And I am...
I mean, hey, we came up with that on the fly, okay?
This is going to keep turning around in the back of our heads, and we'll be back.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
Yeah, I'm already thinking like we could. I don't know. Anyways, that'll be for next year, right? Oh man. So, do you have anything else you want to add to this particular topic?
Nah. I haven't even done the calculation for myself. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's all good fun.
It doesn't.
But think about little ways you can improve, or just think about little ways that'll get you to sit at your desk and paint more minis. That's what it's all about. I am content with where we're at for today, and I'm ready to declare victory.
Perfect. Well, in that case then, thank you again for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
Talk to you next time.
Yeah, we're just taking a break right now.
I see that.
I know.
If you're...
You just got up like, taking a break. I don't know what the hell. Like, of course, right before we record, it's like before we put the kid to bed, you know, fire pit and all that. But of course, now it's just like, hit me in the face. Stupid ass fire.